This 35-year-old woman posted in the Millennials subreddit saying, I went on a date with a 23-year-old man. This 35-year-old woman went on a date with a 23-year-old man. Okay, let's see how this went. As a 35-year-old woman, I don't know if this quick disclaimer means anything. You all let me know what you think. But she says, quick disclaimer, I didn't know the age gap was going to be so big. I thought he was late 20s, like 27 to 29. If I had known his actual age, I likely wouldn't have proposed the date. So here's the setup. We met at an event for a shared hobby at the beginning of October. Spent a little time at the event, chatting and getting pictures. We exchanged socials and had a little group chat going on Discord. He messages me privately. We start to chat, and it becomes obvious he likes me because he's flirting a bit and calling me all kind of pet names. I didn't think I'd spent enough time to get to know him or form an opinion if I liked him back. So I proposed a date at an Asian restaurant a little out of our way, but I had been there before and liked the food. First red flag. Listen to this, y'all. This is hilarious to me. First red flag, he showed up looking like he came from the gym, basketball shorts, and a plain sleeveless t shirt. I let this go. It was a casual meetup, but damn, is it too much to expect a collared shirt or a button up? Y'all let me know. Is that a red flag showing up in basketball shorts for a first date? Next, he didn't compliment my look at all. I wasn't wearing a dress and heels, but at least I tried to look cute with a nice outfit and makeup. Before you call me arrogant and self centered, the reason I was surprised was because almost every other message from him to me included a compliment like beautiful, sexy, cute, etc. And when I got none of that face to face, it was a little strange in my mind. Next, he had no conversation skills. We were able to chat about our shared hobby, but outside of that, there was nothing. I asked him about his job, his commute, his family. He did not return the gesture. I'm on TikTok a lot and see a lot of women talking about awkward dates, and a main complaint is that men only talk about themselves and never ask their dates any questions to get to know them. This guy was on that, but he didn't even talk about himself. When we weren't talking about our hobby, it was just silent at the table unless I posed another question. This was mind blowing to me, and at one point I went quiet just to see if he'd pick up the conversational slack. And we ended up sitting in silence for about 5 minutes until I started talking again. He was also in his phone a lot, texting and scrolling. My phone was out, but it was face down on the table, and I only ever picked it up to know the time. In fact, he took two phone calls at the table without even a courtesy of, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I have to take this, it's important. Got none of that. He just answered it without warning. I was looking at my plate, so when he started talking, I thought it was to me, but alas. Neither of the conversations seemed important, at least from what I could hear, but from his end, and I was just blown by the lack of manners. Obviously, I knew early that this was a wash, but I stuck it out. I was grateful he just seemed awkward and unsocialized and wasn't spouting red pill rhetoric. We ended up on the same train for part of the way back, and again, he didn't engage with me and was only on his phone, so I did the same. When we parted, I gave him a hug goodbye, on which he lingered, and I was low key terrified he'd try to push a kiss, but luckily that didn't happen. As far as bad dates go, it wasn't horrible, just painfully awkward and a waste of time, effort, and money. I definitely should have asked his age beforehand. There's a lot of jokes about Gen Z and how they lack social skills and the like, and this was a prime example. I know this is going to come off ageist, but I seriously have no desire to be around or hear the opinions of anyone under 25. One of the things about age gaps is going to be the lack of shared interest. They had a shared hobby, but they don't have a lot of things in common, and they don't have the same social skills or expectations. And for her part, she said that she didn't know that he was this much younger. I couldn't imagine, I mean, I'm not dating right now, but I couldn't imagine going on a date with somebody this young. This seems definitely very awkward. But the social expectations of someone that's this young versus someone that is a grown woman, showing up just looking disheveled, showing up any kind of way. This is, yeah, that's odd to me, but I do believe that this is a social construct of the younger people. I don't think that they actually care about first impressions. I don't know. I'm not in my 20s. I would never have shown up. Like right now, I wear athleisure all the time, but I wouldn't show up to a date in a tank top and yoga pants. I just wouldn't do that. Would you do that? You let me know in the comments. I thought that these next two parts were interesting too. Behind the screen, he could talk. You have a little bit more confidence maybe, but then face to face, there's none of that and no conversation skills. It would be like pulling teeth. How are these people going to be in any type of relationship, friendship, romantic relationship, without some kind of ability, some sort of ability to have a conversation, to ask questions, reciprocate, go back and forth? Where are they learning this social skill? It is a social skill to be able to find something where you can talk and have a conversation and keep things flowing naturally. This is very interesting to me, and I think that she learned a lot. But it makes me wonder, is this a young person's thing? Is this just a he was awkward type of thing? Is this what happens when there's such a large age gap? I don't know. I just thought that this was very interesting. Let's look at a few of the comments. All right, so Zoma says, I think you're expecting a bit too much from Gen Z. It was hilarious reading comments about parenting your date. And then she says, I didn't know expecting conversation and a little effort in appearance was too much, but I guess I know now. They Call Me Adonis says, instead of writing this essay now, did it never occur to you to ask him in the moment why he is so apathetic? You could also just say you have no conversational skills and spending time with you is dull. She's not going to say that. Just say it in a neutral way and see how he reacts. Chance is he's acting this blasé because this is the kind of brain rot advice you see given from these red pill clowns and female dating coaches to women. People are way too self aware in this cursed panopticon of a social media culture just to be genuinely unaware of how they come off. She says, I would not have said that unprompted, as it feels just a little mean. If I declined a second date and he asked me why, then I would say what you suggested. But he hasn't asked, so I won't say. Adonis says, you say mean, but you also write a whole essay about how he has behaved with bad manners. Someone did violate the reciprocal exchange first, and according to you, it was him. The prompt is his bad manners. You say he has bad social skills, but I would say you have them as well to not recognize this. This just gives you more than enough justification to be blunt. If anything, it's more duplicitous to not state this and then go to the hive mind afterwards to get approval. What was even the point of meeting if you can't express yourself face to face but have to evaluate exchanges afterwards with the safe space hive mind? Did you ever even truly meet? Not from my perspective. This is a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda because the date is gone and it's not going to happen. She can't go back and do anything. But the OP says, what an interesting analysis. She didn't feed into more because Adonis seems like he can talk. Black Mass Smoker says, perhaps a sign of the times, he was more confident behind a screen than he was in person. Compliments through text and showing confidence, which then disappears when sat face to face and shows a lack of conversational skills. You can't discount the awkwardness of youth. Eugene Machine says, supported anecdote. I was talking to a college professor who said getting students to talk to each other in class is like pulling teeth. Recently, they tried setting up group chats for discussion time, and there was 1,000% more interaction. They're literally chatting online with each other while sitting in the same classroom. Edit. To be clear, this was for classwork, not casual chatting. Unknown Koger says, Millennial professor here. I talk about this with my students, and many say it's because they grow up and are afraid of doing or saying anything that might be cringe because they feel like they're constantly recorded and watched by others. And then the next person says, damn, that was actually incredibly sad and alarmingly dystopian. And then an Appalachian Wendigo says, Big Brother is always watching. And then August in the Garden says, but in this case, Big Brother is themselves and their own peers. I'll end with this comment. So Telk says, I work with Gen Z, and my God, the men are fundamentally broken. It is so irritating when they ask me to solve their problems. Okay, I've accepted my fate as the company's Google, but goddamn, can you at least contextualize the problem you're having so I'm not sitting here asking 20 effing questions? I always get a short, ambiguous, it's broken type of answers before the Gen Z stare sets in, and for a brief moment, we're just standing there in silence because I'm expecting them to finish the thought. Add more necessary context or ask specific questions. None of that happens, and I'm not sure if they realize that this behavior is not normal. With the women, you don't see this for some reason. Sure, maybe they're a little awkward or anxious, depressed, but at least they still have basic common sense. With Gen Z men, whew, we're going to have a run for our money when they're forced to take over. This century will be characterized as having women in high power positions with heaps of men living impoverished. Bottom line, working with Gen Z men sucks, and I hate that it sucks. I wish they were better off. This is going to be very, very interesting. This was a whole interesting thought process to me because right now we're in a shift where Gen Z, they are the young adults of right now. And we're already seeing the political divergence between Gen Z men and women. I am just wondering how this social awkwardness, if this was a normal thing, if this is how they usually are, or maybe this woman just got unlucky and these people in their anecdotes, these are just outliers. I'm really wondering how things are going to shift, especially since Gen Z right now are the young adults that are the ones that are supposed to be doing family formation and taking over and growing into their careers. Y'all let me know what you think about this whole thing. I thought that this whole post was quite interesting. Y'all go ahead, join the conversation, like, comment, and share.